This is the Dark Illumination Report podcast with R.J. Womack.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining me for this episode of the podcast. I want to say thanks to everybody who took the time to actually write to me and wish me well, because I was down with an illness last week, so I really appreciate that. Because I didn't have the time to prepare an episode the way I originally planned to, I planned to talk about Satan and my beliefs concerning Satan this week, but I didn't get around to preparing for that episode. So what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to answer a question I received from someone. They asked me, did I have any advice for anyone who was starting a new coven or new group, for somebody who is acting in the position of priesthood for their organization or their coven? And the answer is obviously yes. I have a lot to say about this. I believe that acting as a priest or priestess for your group is one of the most important responsibilities you can take on. It is a sacred duty, and you should treat it as such. You are supposed to be an example of what a good Satanist is supposed to be. You are supposed to be guiding and helping people to develop their relationship with Satan, and that is sacred, and it should be treated as sacred. One of the problems that I find is that when people take on the role of priest or priestess, they tend to get an ego. And a lot of times that ego gets in the way of actually helping people. So if you can actually help somebody learn something about themselves and about Satan, then you're really going to stand out from the crowd. I also want to point out that it's perfectly natural for all Satanists to have an ego, and it's all perfectly natural for Satanists to have pride in themselves. But if that pride gets in the way of you actually teaching people something, then there's a problem. And I can speak from experience about this because I have done exactly that. I have let my ego interfere with what I knew was right and what I knew should be done and what Satan expected of me. So I'm not sitting here trying to tell you to be something that I'm not. I'm telling you that it is a constant battle that you have to fight. It's a constant battle you have to face to make sure that you're doing the right things according to your own beliefs and according to your own principles. If your desire is to serve Satan, then you have to put yourself aside sometimes and do the right thing, even when doing the right thing is not necessarily the easy thing. If you as a theistic Satanist minister are not willing to put Satanism and satanic principles before yourself, then there's really no difference between you and an atheist. That's what makes theistic Satanists different from atheistic Satanists, is that we put our religion and our God before ourselves, at least sometimes, if not all the time. Now, I don't want to give anybody the wrong impression and give them the idea that I'm saying that you have to sacrifice yourself or be a martyr for Satan. I'm not trying to say that Satan even demands that you make sacrifices for him. But what I am saying is there are times when what we want to do or what we think we should do is not always the best thing for Satanism or for our cause. And we all know that's true, and we've all had situations like that. I mean, for me personally, I can tell you that I could sit here and rant and rave about every person in Satanism that I don't like. But what purpose would it serve? It's not the honorable thing to do. It's not the mature thing to do. And it's certainly not the priestly thing to do. And it took me a long time to learn that bitching about other people, it doesn't really change anything. All it does is make me and Satanism look bad. The simple truth is, if somebody doesn't agree with you, it doesn't matter how much browbeating you do, you're not going to change their mind. It doesn't matter how much evidence you present them with. If they don't choose to believe what you believe, or they really haven't had the experiences you've had, you're not going to change their mind no matter what you say, and no matter how much you bitch. The second thing that I would recommend is that you try to keep your group as local as possible. Try to find people in your area to work with, and try to make sure that your group is an offline group, not an online group. Most online groups don't last very long, and most online groups don't achieve much. So it's better to stay small and focus on your individual area and try to teach people something. Provide them with a religious ceremony every week. But above all, if you make the organization, the group, about Satan and Satanism and not about the individuals involved in the group, then you'll get somewhere, you'll achieve something, and you'll be different from the rest. And that's what you want. You want a coven, a group that makes a difference, that does something that benefits the people in our community and our religion. One piece of advice I will give you is that when you do your rituals, make sure to change them up every few months, because if you do the same ritual over and over again, what usually happens is people start to just do it very robotically, and it loses all its emotional impact, and they tend to lose the spiritual connection to the ritual. They just start saying the words, and they just start doing the actions without any thought as to what they mean. So it's very important to change up your rituals periodically to keep that from happening. If you're interested in getting ordained, it's a very simple process. You can go to ulc.org. That's ulc.org, the Universal Life Church website, and you can get a free ordination from them. The trick is going to be whether your county clerk recognizes that ordination and ceremonies conducted by a minister who has that ordination. And the best way to find out is to call your county clerk's office. Well, I think that about does it for today. But before I go, I just want to say to everybody who listens to this show, thank you so much for taking the time to listen. I know when it comes to Satanism, there are tons of places you can go, tons of things you can read, listen to, and watch. And the fact that you've taken time out of your day to listen to this show means a lot to me. My religion means everything to me, and all I've ever wanted to do was talk to people about Satanism. So being able to do this podcast means more to me than you'll ever know. Thanks again. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Illumination Report podcast. For the latest news headlines, show information, and more, go to rjwomack.com. That's rjwomack.com.